dive straight in. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me, James. It is a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun getting to know you over the last couple of months, this year, really. So I want to start with basically a recap of 2023, since we're near the end of it, and it's really just, are you satisfied with what you've accomplished this year so far?
I'd say so, definitely. We've been doing a lot of touring. We finally put out the album, and the reception that it's gotten so far. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks, but still, I mean, it's been really good. It seems like a lot of people like it. People who have been following us for a while have had amazing things to say and about the progression of the project as a whole. And also people who have never heard of Blind Equation before have kind of, you know, either like they get it or they don't, but like, the people who get it have been saying really nice things, and even the people who don't get it, like I feel like maybe they just don't get it yet, or maybe it's just not for them, but that's like totally fine with me. Like I can perfectly live well with that, because I mean, I know going into this project that it was going to be pretty polarizing, and yeah.
It's good to hear you say that because, yeah, I don't notice a lot of negativity, even from the, as you say, the folks that maybe don't understand it or it isn't resonating with them. Whereas, online, people shout and scream about everything. It tends just to be, okay, isn't working for me kind of attitude.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we have gotten like our music has like gotten to an audience that hates it like extremely. When we dropped the video for "You Betrayed the Ones You Loved," I guess the Instagram algorithm like uh somehow got the Prosthetic Records post to like a lot of the like really elitist like black metal people, and like they just like had a field day with it. But honestly, it was like a lot of fun, like just reading the ridiculous things they had to say, because it was just like kind of funny, and like also just kind of like helped engagement too, and like helped it reach like people who actually liked it. So like even when there is like a huge like really like strong negativity towards the project, like I don't really take it that personally, because like I kind of know what I'm doing, and I know that like it's definitely not for them, and like usually what they say like is wrong. But yeah, no, I mean like yeah, I mean, I've gotten some negativity, but it hasn't been like, definitely the positivity has like overshadowed that. So by a tremendous amount. So yeah.
I almost regret missing that discourse then, because that would have been quite fun, as you say, to read and so on. But yeah, it's so funny because, of course, you're commenting and you're saying whatever you want to do, but ultimately, as far as social media algorithms go, hey, that just benefits the hell out of you. So carry on.
Oh, absolutely. Like I mean, like if you're not, ruffling a couple feathers, with your art, like, you know,
Well,
you're
you're
not really, yeah.
pretty active on social media overall. Is that an area, because it is a very difficult for many bands, artists, projects, and so on to kind of work within the limitations of so many different platforms with so many different algorithms. Is that an area you think you're strong at then?
I have no idea. Um, I'd like to think that I think like Twitter, I think I've gotten down pretty
Mm.
well. Really just you just kind of have to just fire up the tweets that just come up in your brain. It's a lot sometimes, but I kind of just do what I can do, and with Instagram, I just usually just posting in the morning helps the algorithm or something. I just try to make the post look good. I'm still working on like trying to like make that better, but I mean, there's always like room for improvement. I'm always like, trying new stuff out. Like I'm not like a expert on social media or anything. I feel like there's a lot of things that I could be doing better, but also like I feel like what I'm doing like fits the nature of the project, and also just fits like my ethos as, an artist and everything. And like, I'm just kind of doing what feels genuine while also like trying to get the word out there. So yeah.
Well, we're all fighting a losing battle here, because ultimately you can get the grips of it in 6 months' time. It'll switch, it'll change, something will adapt, and it'll be starting again. So yeah, just yeah, if you're doing something right now, that's all that matters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think? Can you put your finger on it right now? And as we say, we're only like 2 weeks from the release of Death Awaits. But can you put your finger on why the project, why Blind Equation is getting more attention of this album? Do you think it can be laid at the feet of Prosthetic Records, the label?
I think that definitely has something to do with it, but also I just feel like I've kind of expanded my sound even more. While my last album, it was a very distinct like chiptune kind of instrumental palette. Like it's just something like straight out of like Game Boy Advance or like Super Nintendo. Like nothing else really. And like I mean that was like kind of like the vision I had for that project, and that mixed with like the overprocessed drums and like just distorted vocals, like everything was like very like deliberate and intentional, but also like I feel like that's easy to like it like like is something that either you're gonna love or you're gonna hate, and I mean like I feel like same with this project, but also like I feel like I've just expanded my sound palette even more and also just expanded the possibilities of what Blind Equation could be as well, with adding like the pop influence and also just adding like new synths, even though it still sounds very video gamey, but also it in a way it also doesn't in a way, and like it's a very contrasting sound palette to where like I feel like if you're not looking for like video gamey sounding like cyber grind band, like I feel like it still might appeal to you, and like yeah, and definitely like the more traditional song structures I feel like are just make it a little bit more accessible for people. And yeah, and also just the fact that like since from the time between Life is Pain and this project, like I've been constantly like touring with this project and like playing a lot of shows and been a lot more active, to where even before like this first single dropped, like I'd grown the following of the project like probably like 5 times from where it was when like right when Life is Pain dropped. And with all those new fans coming in like after Life is Pain has dropped, like kind of discovering us from playing shows or like me shit posting on Twitter or something like that. Like them all kind of anticipating a new project is kind of another reason why I feel like more people have why this release has kind of done better than the last one. Even though the last one did like amazing, I mean, but it's just kind of like a progression, kind of like you release an album, play some shows, get more of a following. Next album does a little bit better, play some shows, and just keep going, and just make the best music you can, really.
It's a combination of things, as you say. You're growing as an artist, learning new things, developing your own, a wider palette. You play in these shows. You get a label being a bit louder about you as well. Everything combines to result in, as say, 2 weeks. Better reflection will be 6 months down the line. But if in 2 weeks we can say this about it, it's not a bad bloody start.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really happy with how everything's been panning out so far. And I mean, I just can't wait to see like what happens next after like months and maybe even a year after this album dropped, because when Life is Pain dropped, like not everything happened just immediately like 2 weeks after. Like I mean, a lot of cool stuff that we did was like a year after that album release, or like a year and a half after that album release, so yeah.
Well, talking about that then, referring to Life is Pain, how soon after the release of Life is Pain did you kind of start work on Death Awaits, or at least start the process and thinking about following it up?
So yeah, so I started writing Life is Pain in March 2020. And I finished writing the instrumentals around May. And around May, I'd written, and no, actually, sorry, I finished the instrumentals around April. So like I pretty much wrote the instrumentals like within a month span. And then before I wrote any lyrics to Life is Pain, I wrote the single Imprisoned by You, which I released before Life is Pain dropped. And then right after I'd written Imprisoned by You, I actually started writing Suffering Silence off Death Awaits. But I only finished like the first half and then just kind of let it be. And then beginning of 2021, I wrote the song Death Awaits and Speedrunning Life instrumentally, then didn't really do anything after that. And then January and February 2022, I started like really writing the instrumentals for Death Awaits, and that's how I wrote like the other like 7 songs pretty much, and finishing uh Suffering in Silence, and also just expanding on Death Awaits and Speed Running Life, because like when I first wrote those songs, like I used completely different synths for those. Death Awaits had completely different lyrics too. The Speed Running Life didn't even have the disco part in the middle, and kind of just expanded those songs even more, since I had like pretty much a year to kind of sit on those songs and think of what I want to do with those. And yeah, so basically I kind of wrote Death Awaits a couple months after Life is Pain was out, but a few of the songs were written prior to Life is Pain being released, because Life is Pain like took a while to be made. But yeah.
Did you have a vision for what you wanted Death Awaits to be? Was it kind of a clear path you knew you were going down?
Yeah, I'd say so. I definitely wanted this album to have just be a lot more of a dancey record. While Life is Pain was a very more chaotic, just ever like all over the place album. This one I just wanted to be something that people could dance to, and the whole time I had like kind of like the fucking like Eurobeat vision going on, like, and like hyperpop and nightcore and stuff, like like Aqua and like Alice DJ and shit like that. Like kind of like that vibe going for it, but also like still a Blind Equation album. And also like sort of like that Gen Z like hyperpop and digicore shit. And trying to mix all of those elements. Try to make like a Cybergrind album, but like really heavy on those influences, and like and also just like a heavy black metal influence as well. And just like mixing all these like fucked up like genres that do not like mix well with each other, and just trying to make something that is very specific to me. Just like the album's like just very personal, even like down to like the musical influences. And really it's just a reflection of what I was listening to at the time. Like that, a lot of like atmospheric drum and bass. Like I was listening to that first Cradle of Filth album a lot. And a lot of like SoundCloud rap, and like a lot of Def Heaven too. There's a lot of parts in the album where I was just like, this is like totally a Def Heaven part. And yeah, really, but like kind of like narrowing down to like one vision, I'd say just a very melancholic, like I just wanted to be kind of like a sad dance rave, but
Yeah.
also like kind of violent, in a way. And yeah.
So you kind of have that vision, you're progressing down this road with Death Awaits. What are things and events that affected, helped, or hindered the shape the record would actually become?
So January and February 2022, Blind Equation and also like my other band Prevention were supposed to play like a bunch of shows. Like Blind Equation was supposed to go on like our first weekend or like beginning of February. And we were supposed to play like this like kind of like trap metal slash cybergrind like mixed show like in January and stuff. Like we had all these shows like lined up, and then they all got canceled because like COVID started to spike up again. So I was like stuck in my room a lot. And pretty much like had 8 weekends like in a row where I just like did not leave my house pretty much. So I spent those weekends just writing the music for Death Awaits, like those other 7 songs I was talking about. So I feel like if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have gotten that done so soon, and
Yeah.
maybe the album would have been finished until like a much later date. Because as I do like play a lot of shows and stuff, it gets harder to like sit down and write music. And I'm kind of running into that now because like we're playing a lot of shows to promote the new album, and also this year has been like a crazy year for shows for us as well. But
It's a
as far
trade-off
as
though, isn't it?
it is, yeah. I mean, I love playing shows. That's what I love doing more than anything. But also like I love sitting down writing music and then playing shows with the music that I wrote, but I have to sit down and write the music and not play shows to do that. So it's very tricky.
Yeah, I completely understand it, and I almost, I'm sympathetic, but I'm also like, I'm glad to hear you are so busy with shows, and that is an aspect that is growing and growing and growing because it is still so important, and clearly you enjoying it as well. Talking about enjoying then, working on the album overall, from beginning to end, I'm talking about the entire process here. Was there a specific thing or specific things that you either really found a lot of fun for yourself or quite satisfying to do?
Um, there was a lot actually. Because this album was sort of my first venture into real electronic music and not just like cybergrind, like computer metal shit. Like really like implementing like dance beats and like 808s and like
Hmm.
auto-tune vocals and stuff like that. This album was kind of like my playground to try all those things out and just really like add them into mix and like kind of just like do whatever I wanted. Because in a weird way, so as I was writing this album, like we already signed a deal with Prosthetic. So like I also had kind of the vision in mind that like this metal label is going to be putting out this album. Let's do like I want to do everything that like a label like this would not put out, you know. It was just like kind of an insane thing to like think about, and I feel like a lot of bands when they get signed to like a label, they might look at other releases and be like, yo, we gotta like kind of fit in that mold, or like
Yeah.
we gotta like really show that we're the most metal. I don't know, like maybe not everyone, like but like I just want to do the opposite of that and just like really like just write some like insane shit that like some shit that like if you just look back on it historically, you would just kind of be like, how did this label put this out, you know? And I feel like that was also a huge motivation for me to really experiment and try things out of my comfort zone. And um, I just really did not want to write Life is Pain too, pretty much. And I really wanted to write something that kind of marked the new chapter of Blind Equation. And kind of like a stepping stone to go off of for future releases and just expand the universe for the project. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and also just like being able to like kind of write these pop choruses and stuff was a blast. Even though it was
Hmm.
very difficult because both "You Betrayed the Ones You Loved" and also "Never Getting Better." They both had a ton of drafts for like the choruses, like um I had one that I was sticking with for "You Betrayed the Ones You Love" for like months and months. Like I would sing it in my head like over
Yeah.
and over, and I would keep on recording it. It just wouldn't sound right. And then like I just changed it completely, and then it became the one it is today. And I did that like I want to say like a month before I like finished making the album. Well, I had the original chorus like drafted like several months prior to that. And also just like playing around with a lot of the parts in the album where it feels like you're watching like a 240p YouTube video or like a real time player video. Um, and it's like a kind of a dance rave stuff. Playing around with that was a lot of fun, and um, yeah, I know I
A lot
enjoyed.
of fun.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. It's been, but it has been a very challenging experience mixing and producing the album because uh in my like Logic project, like there's like at least like 120 different like tracks on the project, and like I want to say like 50 of those are synths, and like
Hmm.
not every song on the album has the same set of synths throughout. Like I change them like throughout each one, and like mixing them all to make sure that like they all sound somewhat consistent while like still changing things up was a challenge. But I think I did okay. But that's also kind of been a challenge throughout Blind Equation, but just this one just kind of multiplied in the sense.
But the end result speaks for itself, as you know. I have to ask, going back to what you said then regarding the label, have did you have any then concerns or worries when you're like, okay, I'm going to send this to them, I'm going to see what they think, and they're gonna hate it or they're gonna love it? Did that ever enter your mind?
I mean, they signed a band that wrote a song called John Cena Funny Meme.exe. So
Yeah.
they kind of knew what they were getting themselves into. But also like they're super like supportive, and they're super supportive label of just like signing bands that really want to push the boundaries of heavy metal music. And like they do sign like all these kind of like oddball bands like for a reason. And they're very smart on doing that. I mean, like us, Thought Crime, Pupil Slicer, like Neckbeard Death Camp, God
Yeah,
Alone. There's like a lot of bands that are just like
it's an incredible roster.
weird, but like in the best way. And like they just have a really good ear for that. And I think they definitely want bands to sort of break those boundaries and just write something refreshing, because I feel like that's important, and like not a lot of other labels are kind of signing those bands. And yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you feel that way as well. A huge fan of them and what they do, and supporting bands like yourselves to just get to a wider audience, get across the shores to Europe and the UK and so on. It's so, so important for growth. So we've talked a fair bit about creative processes, and I guess I want to ask, how do you draw a line under your creativity? So, you're working on death awaits, you're trying out all these unique things. There has to be a point where you say, right, enough. What is that point? Do you know it?
I have no idea. Like I like usually it's just when I get tired of working on a song. Because I'll just like keep on adding things to this mix, adding things and like adding synths, adding like different melodies. Like there's so many parts on the album where there's just like six different melodies playing all at the same time and kind of working with each other. Like there's a lot of layers going on. And sometimes I feel like maybe I like am adding too much, but also like I feel like the dense layer of synths kind of like just make it something for our listeners to kind of go back to, and maybe they will catch a synth that they didn't hear the first time, or yeah, notice like melodies that might have not been like the primary melody, but
Mm,
like it's kind of in the background, and like they listen to it like the 10th time and there's like, oh, that shit's cool. And
yeah.
so I feel like um just my creative process is very maximalist with this project. And I guess it can be overwhelming at times, but I feel like it's worked out in its favor for this project. And I feel like it fits. And also I just can't picture this project just having like two bare synths, drums and vocals and nothing else. And yeah.
You're gonna keep, yeah, you're basically gonna do everything you can until you get to the point, like you said, where either you just need to walk away from it, or you think, yeah, that is as good as it's ever going to get, and the end result will speak for itself. You must take some pleasure out of surprising people who initially hear your music, may not immediately get it, but end up finding. And we're not talking about the sort of dancey, fun aspects of that side of things, but the huge depth and expressive emotion that exists in the music. That, I think, is probably one of the things that really knocks people for six when they really get to know you. Is that something you enjoy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like when kind of like I take people by surprise with my art, but also it's really nice when people connect with the lyrics, and kind of know that, like, kind of understand the juxtaposition of like kind of like the bright melodies but also like the dark lyrics and everything. And I mean, it's just been a really cool creative outlet to be able to express those feelings, and kind of just dump extremely personal information that I just wouldn't like type on social media, but I would put in a song, um, which is kind of crazy. But
You find it
yeah,
easy to express yourself, like to open up in that way via the lyrical content.
yeah. Although I feel like it's not really like intentional. It's just I usually just kind of write what comes to mind or what feels right, and like um most of the time, I mean, throughout all Blind Equations career, I guess, like it's just been like what felt right for that project. And I just can't picture myself really like writing about anything else. And I guess it's kind of just out of necessity because the songs have to have lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Um so it kind of like puts me in that position, whether it's like preferable or not. But I feel like it's worked out, and it's been good. It's been good.
Mm.
It's uh, it's been a like very fulfilling way to like, I don't know, the project's just always been like a very fulfilling way to express myself, and whether that's through lyrics or through music, and putting that out in the world, like, it's definitely very vulnerable, but also very satisfying, especially with how it's been received, and being able
Yeah.
to perform the songs in front of people and like have people sing words back, and it's crazy. I never thought, like, I'd be doing stuff like this. Yeah, and it's also very interesting because even though Blind Equation has been a project for like 11 years at this point,
Mm.
I've been like kind of primarily as a guitarist like for the longest time, and lyrics was kind of like being a vocalist was kind of in the like background for me. Like, it's not something I really like fixated on, but especially like recent years, it's kind of shifted a little bit, and like it's been very interesting, kind of being in the vocalist world, which I never thought I'd kind of be in. And also, I really like your cat, and yeah, no, it's been really fulfilling and really neat. And every show that we play, I like, it's just like an insane cathartic experience that I can't describe in any other way. And yeah, that was awesome.
I think yeah, you have described it wonderfully there. It's really great to hear you getting that from it. With that in mind, then, have you noticed that there's a track, a specific track from the album that might be resonating with people more than maybe you might have expected it to pre-release?
Hmm. I think so far, Never Getting Better. I feel like that song has connected with a lot of people. Definitely like beyond like just the instrumentals, but also like the lyrics and kind of the meaning behind it. Because I've had a couple of people like message me being like, hey, like, I've been kind of going through it, and like hearing the song like has definitely like kind of made me feel not alone and stuff. And it's not something I really expected. And
Mm.
mostly just because I was too focused on like when I was releasing it, kind of just focusing on, wow, this is like cyber grind, black metal, and also like pop music. This is gonna be crazy. But like I always forget that, like, oh wow, I wrote very vulnerable, like, and honest lyrics to this. And yeah, and like hearing that's been always like been really neat. And like, because like, I mean, as like a music listener myself, like I know a lot of bands that do that for me, and like it's kind of like a weird full circle moment when like that's like my project and stuff. And yeah, no, it's really cool. It's really neat. It's really really wholesome.
Yeah, you can get millions of dollars, pounds from this record, but not, and as great as that would be, nothing will top that connection like that. Even if it's one person, it's something, it's immeasurable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like insane, and it's really cool. I mean, this, when I go into like writing lyrics, like I do want it, even though it is like a self-expressive sort of diary of sorts, but it's also like I do keep in mind the person listening to the album, and like I hope that, like, usually in my head, like I'm kind of hoping that like other listeners can sort of relate, or kind of feel some sort of comfort in it. And like I don't want to be too like, oh, I'm trying to send a message or whatever,
Of course.
but like it's just, like, if people get it, they get it, and it's for them. If not, that's like totally fine. Like I am doing this like for myself, but at the same time, like it's really neat to be able to do that for others. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned obviously playing live, and I want to kind of get into a little bit of that. Is the end of 2023 looking quite busy, and is that rolling into 2024? Do you have plans in place, things you can talk about?
Yeah. So the end of this year is getting pretty busy. We had a little bit of a break between August and September. We just played our first show back in like 2 months, like yesterday,
Yeah.
with Hanabi from Japan, and that was like fucking crazy. Um, like around like 300, 400 people there. Like insane crowd, and it's like huge response from like the bands we played with and also like the crowd. I don't know, that was just like I didn't know what to expect from that show, because it was their first time touring the US, so like I didn't know how they usually like pulled, in the States, because they've never toured in the States, and that was a surreal experience. And they're a fucking amazing band too. But yeah, anyways, we're playing a couple like one-off shows here and there. We're playing Iowa City Saturday, playing Milwaukee next week, and then playing like Springfield, Missouri with MS Paint. And then that should be sick. And then November we're doing like a tour around the Midwest. Half of it is with Closet Witch, amazing grind band from Iowa. And then the other half is with Dreamwell, who also recently signed to Prosthetic and are releasing a new album pretty soon. So it's really cool to kind of like tour with a band that's also on the same label as us, and also just like an amazing fucking band too, because like I've been a fan of them before they signed too. So it's really cool. And then after that, I think the only thing we have planned is like the release show, which will be in December in Chicago. It'll be our like kind of first Chicago show since like July. So like that'll just be kind of like a special get together.
Yeah.
We're just gonna invite a bunch of bands that from all over that we're just a fan of and that are friends of ours, and just kind of celebrate the release and play the whole album in its full. And yeah, and just kind of see the sort of fruits of our labor in our hometown. Yeah.
Have you, I mean, I don't want to sort of suggest run before you can walk kind of situation, but have you given it any thought to perhaps getting further afield in 2024 at any stage? Is that something that's a consideration for you, or is it still a wait and see?
Oh, farther in. I'm so sorry.
A further afield, so
Oh
across
yeah,
the share.
yeah. We've been like talking about doing some like international stuff for next year. There's a couple people that want to bring us over to other countries. I think one person is going to give us more details like the next couple of weeks, so we'll kind of see how that goes and kind of see if we can all afford it and stuff. Which is also, but also, it's been a while since we've sold like merch. Like, I mean, we have a shirt on like Night Shift right now, but it's like been a while since we've done like a proper like merch drop too. So like, we can definitely like, if it was something where we were to like travel overseas, like definitely like we could try to hustle those bucks,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
kind of do that, because that's something that I absolutely want to do. As far as like touring more, I would love to. We all do work like full-time jobs, so it's like a little bit tough. So we just kind of do what we can with like PTO and stuff. Just kind of
Yeah,
doing what we got to do, unfortunately. But just
yeah,
if
you
the right opportunity comes along, like hopefully that will be cool. But kind of just have to wait to see how things go, really. But also we don't want to like put ourselves into financial holes to,
horse.
you know, tour too much, yeah.
Of course, it always comes down to the dollar ultimately, whether we like it or not. I don't know. I'm just gonna, kind of desperate to see you guys perform live. I want to see this record. I want to hear this music played live. For my own personal thing, but obviously I'm in the UK, so I've got to come to you. You're gonna have to come to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we'd love to play the UK. I think someone even like DM'd us like saying if we ever wanted to play there, like to hit them up. So like it's not totally out of the cards. So I mean, like, but also might take a while. But yeah, we'll get there eventually, and it would be really cool to see you at a show.
Yeah, hell yeah. Watch this space. But for the time being, folks, Death Awaits. It's been out since September 15th, so a couple of weeks old at the time we're recording, and you must check this record out. It is the most unique thing you will hear this year. You'll either love it or you'll loathe it, but you will bloody remember it. And that is the most important thing. It's no secret, obviously, I fell in love with it on my journey with that, and it's been a blast. James, before we
No,
go,
yeah.
we have another section. This is Ozzy Osbourne, and in his head are randomized questions from everything and everything we could possibly think of. We're now going to pull out some, and if you don't mind, just answer the question.
Yeah, totally. I got you.
Cool, cool, cool. Right. All right, we start with number 8. Who would play you in a movie or TV show about your life? We can actually apply that to if you want, if you can't think of one as someone for your life, the life of the band.
Oh my God. Does it have to be an actor or?
I think anything really. Hell, it's a randomized question, anime character, video game, whatever.
That's so tough. I'm so bad at this. Hold
Hmm.
on 1 second. Let me think.
That's cool. Take some time to think.
Honestly, I could see like Michael Cera playing me as the dude from Blind Equation. That I think I can see that. I don't know how, but I think that'd be pretty funny.
That is, I can picture that already. I'm thinking Michael Cera Arrested Development era as well, right around there.
Oh yeah, with him with just long hair and
Okay. What is the last thing you do before you go to sleep at night? Well, not even at night, before you go to sleep.
uh scroll through Twitter. But uh but usually I try to like play like a video game or something, before I go to bed. Or or usually I'm like kind of working on design commissions before bed. But one of those three, or scroll
One.
Twitter or pet my cat, Yeah.
Okay, what is something that never fails to make you smile?
Definitely I mean cool music that like cool new music. Like when I discover like a band that like is like or an artist that like is like a style that like I've been like craving but like never heard before or something like there's those artists like Kumo 99 was one for me.
Hmm.
Like who else? Like Strawberry Hospital was another. Like Omerta was another.
Hmm.
Like just like discovering like an artist you listen to the first time and you're just like, this is it. And then like you just wind up like listening to like 100 times after. Uh I mean
And it
that makes me
follows.
smile. That
You end up falling down a rabbit hole to a certain degree as well when you
oh
discover a back
yeah.
catalog and so on.
Oh yeah. No, it's amazing. That or like literally like if we're on tour and we like stay at a place and I see a cat, that will make me smile.
That guy. All right, all right, all right. Okay, next one. All right, this is one of the controversial ones. Was Metallica right for going after Napster?
So I've been like seeing a lot of debates about this. Yes and no, I feel like. I, I might need to come back like once I form some better opinions about this, but I I mean like I'm no I am definitely guilty to downloading music online.
Who isn't?
I have SoulSeek. But also I don't use streaming. I am not on Spotify or like Apple Music or anything, but at the same time, I think he said something about like streaming becoming the new norm and that kind of like killing music in a way. And I feel like he's kind of right in some regard, just because especially with the announcement now that like Bandcamp has been bought out by some random company.
Hmm.
I just feel like preserving music and art in general and like kind of preserving it and like keeping like owning music or like owning media like is become less and less of a thing, and that's a little bit scary because like any of these like platforms like Spotify, Apple Music and stuff like can just like pull all the music that you love like out of your hands in like a blink of an eye. And like if they did that, like what do you have, and like that is unfortunately becoming like more and more of a thing, and like all these like file sharing sites are like going down, and like ways to like organically like own like music is kind of not becoming a thing. And like it's kind of scary because like some albums just might, I think some albums are already like just like forgotten in time. Like there's
Yeah.
like bands that will from like, you know, the early 2010s that like put out a demo and like maybe a couple of people downloaded it on MediaFire or like bought a CD at a show, and like they never put on streaming, and like because it's not a streaming, like no one's really like searching it out, and like just the fact like that more independent music like is might get like lost in time because of this, like is a little concerning and very scary to me, because like there's so many like albums on my music library that are not in streaming or like anywhere on the internet that like I own and like I love, you know, and like can't picture myself like not owning that. And like I can't even imagine like what albums I'm missing out on because I didn't like save those at the right time, you know, and didn't archive it myself. So yeah, I don't know. But basically what I'm getting is that I'm a huge advocate for music archival and like preserving art and like making sure that it stays alive. And like I just feel like streaming, like the fact that like you streaming, like you just don't own the song and it can be like pulled away from you at any time, and like maybe like the time before it gets pulled off is the last time you'll ever hear it again.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of scary, and like I do not like that. So
well put. Well
so
explained.
So was Lars right? Kinda, I guess.
Still fence
Yeah.
setting, but yes. For those that would have heard here, I want to use a comparison because you went into such detail there, and I think, you know, a cynical person would be like, oh, you're over exaggerating, that would never happen. Look at video games and digital video games that you cannot buy physically and then get delisted and removed. There are tons that you simply cannot get hold of now because they were digital owning. So it's not impossible.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, same goes with like apps. I mean, we saw what happened with Flappy Bird, you know, like delete the app. Once you like get it, you know, once you delete the app off your phone, you can't get it back, you know. Even though it's a more silly like example of that, but like I mean, yeah, definitely video games. I mean, I play a lot of like older video games probably just because like I like the modern like gaming thing is like kind of weird to me. I don't fully understand it. I'm really out of touch with that. But yeah.
But I mean, yeah, if you're talking old school, you look at something like Nintendo, you know, who obviously fight constantly about emulators and things like that, but then almost refuse to put their own content on their own systems, except for drip feeding here and there. It's infuriating.
It is, yeah, no, exactly. Because like the only games that like people are emulating are games that they do not sell at all, anyways, and like they're like not
You're
really
not losing
losing
money.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like people can buy it from like a used game store, you know, and like Nintendo's still not making money, but like the game store is making money, but like emulation, like technically nobody makes money, but like Nintendo's still trying to like crack down on that. It's like insane. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
doesn't make any
We'll do.
sense.
No, it doesn't. But we'll do one more. And funny enough, this focus in the video game area, and it is this: what is a video game that you can just lose hours to?
Oh, definitely Kirby Air Ride. Like
Oh,
that.
wow.
So like that game like has just been a constant throughout my life. Like the city trial like mode on that, like even though it's just like the same map every time, like I can like that's just like a comfort game. Like literally like I've been playing it since I was like 8 or something, and like uh it like it's just so comforting and so much fun. Like just to like play, and like I'll just go like I can go like, you know, 5-10 rounds a day, and like whenever I have like a handheld emulator, and like whenever like I'm on tour and like I'm not driving, like I'll just play that game like throughout the whole drive. And um like sometimes at a time like I might get like a little bit tired of it, but like it like it's a game that like I always like if I turn on the emulator, that's the game I'm going to first, you know. So yeah.
It's your comfort, you know. People got their own variations in that. Some people might like to have a meal. Other people might want to watch a movie they've seen 1,000 times before. And Kirby, for you, there it is.
Yeah. Oh,
First time
absolutely.
anyone's ever brought no one's mentioned in all the time we've been adding this section to it. That's the first time anyone's ever brought Kirby up in it. So well done you.
Thank you. More people should.
Absolutely. But also more people should listen to Death Awaits. Just want to remind people it is out now and it is an incredible experience. And I cannot wait to see what comes next and your future plans throughout 2024. James, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. It's been lovely. And yeah, I appreciate you saying a lot of really kind things about the album, and also just for like giving it a shot. And yeah, no, it means a lot. And had a great time talking with you. And yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.